Hey guys, I'm Delora. Welcome to the return episode of the Delora Dabbles podcast. Actually didn't intend to be on hiatus this long. I've been doing a lot of stuff actually. So I really wanted this. I'm just trying to be comfy. Sorry. A lot of stuff preventing my comfiness. I really wanted this YouTube channel to be about, handling my PTSD and talking about that in a very honest kind of way. And kind of just talking about my life in a very honest and raw way as well. I think I just wasn't quite ready for it at that time period. That was my last semester of college. Now, that's a really intense transition point for anyone, but for me specifically, I had one life mission, and it's been my one life mission for the past 8 years. Um, and that was to graduate college. I was to finish college, get my degree. And I don't know, I didn't plan for anything after that. Uh, I just didn't plan for anything else. What I was going to do with I thought about the things that I wanted to do with my degree and things like that. I didn't even think that I was going to make it that far to graduate, let alone to do anything else. So as that last semester was coming on, I was so anxious. That's why I was obsessively crafting. I was so prolific, and every week I had done all these things because it was just it was all I could do to keep the anxiety at bay. And when I wasn't studying or being literally in school or hanging out with friends, I was at home doing nothing, being super anxious until I picked up something to do. So I just prolifically crafted and did my fiber arts to drown out the anxiety because I was so worried that something horrible was going to happen to me before I graduated. That I was going to get hit by a truck. That my bus was going to get because I rode the metro. That my metro bus was going to get into a huge wreck. And it was funny because my metro bus did get into a wreck that semester, but it was a fender bender that really just made me late for class, and that was it. I mean, metros are built like fucking tanks. They're urban tanks. So, yeah, I should have never been that anxious, but I just didn't feel like I deserved a college degree. So I kept thinking that something horrible was going to happen because that just wasn't meant for me. Um, right now, I have a lot of anxiety about working a 9-to-5 job and whether that transition is going to be healthy for me just because of I'd have to sit in one spot doing the same shit for 8 straight hours, 5 days in a row. I mean, that would just drive me insane. That's just kind of how I am. And I apologize if I'm umming a lot. This is some very difficult kind of ground to cover on here. So I'm going to try to refrain from umming and liking. I tend to say like a lot too. It's just I feel like whenever I'm actually vulnerable, it's hard for me to find words. So, yeah, so I finally graduated. I officially graduated in August, though I finished my classes in May. I have been working in a nightclub. I only need to work weekends to make ends meet. That's all I need to do, which is pretty awesome because that gives me, 4 days out of the week usually to just kind of do me, which has been pretty awesome. Recently, I have finally been able to tackle some of the big life questions that I'd just been ignoring this whole time, like my spirituality, what I want to do with the rest of my life, really look at my life goals and what I want. And it's funny how things have started to fall into place because college is extremely stressful. And so I was really stressed just because of all the things that I was always having to do and all the things that I was always having to get done, and I would have to be on all the time, just because you have to go to class and interact with people. Having 4 days to choose whether I want to be seen in public or not is great because if I just want to stay home for 3 days straight and not be seen, not have to be on around people, not have to be the social butterfly and the sweet person, and just be me alone and not even be looked at by other people has been extremely helpful. And that sounds so weird. I'm not a recluse by nature. My anxiety makes me reclusive sometimes. So, yeah. I ended up falling into a really deep pit of depression when I first finished college. During finals week, I actually ran out of my funds that I had set aside for that semester. So, I had to immediately start working. Luckily, I found a bar to work at, so that was pretty good, but it was extremely like I really know how to make things 10 times harder for myself. And because it was finals week when I picked up this new job, trying to learn this new skill and everything, it just made finals that much worse. But I did pass, and that is over with and done. I never have to take another test again, unless I want to get my master's in anthropology, which I don't actually see happening. So working at the bar is interesting. It's exhausting in a different kind of way than what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be very emotionally and physically exhausting, and it is those things, but it's very energetically exhausting. And I never realized, like, for days after I'm done working, like, I'm a little bit lethargic, and that was like at first. Like, it would take me a couple of days to really um, relax fully, and then I would spend my other 2 off days actually, being myself as usual, back to business as usual. And then I'd work for 3 days and, be energetically drained for two, and then come back, be normal for two. So that was a really interesting cycle. I will say that since I've started meditating and like actually like letting myself explore my spirituality and using healing crystals. I do healing crystals now. My back is itching as I'm getting nervous talking about this because it's some woo-woo shit, but I love it. There's something about like I'll carry different crystals with me to work. Obviously not this one. This is freaking huge. This is my huge ass selenite. This one stays at home. All the rest though are pretty much fair game for taking to work though. And yeah, I have plans to paint this box eventually. I have lots of plans for lots of things now. I'm just really the only thing that's keeping me from doing those was that I just went out of town to visit friends. I'm just now getting back. And I'm just not wanting to drain my finances with crafting until I feel like I have enough spare money, right? We would all like to have a little bit of spare money. And I certainly have learned in the past that crafting is one of my problems. So I try not to pick up too many of those. I also have a huge thing for Labradorite. I love it. Love, love, love it. I find that using crystals while I meditate, and I love chakra work. I've been doing a lot of chakra work. I find it extremely helpful for me. I've helped others with their chakra work, and that's been pretty damn fantastic. I've always really liked helping others and just kind of being like a nurturing person, which has gotten me into trouble, for sure. There's a lot of people out there who try to take advantage of nurturing people, and I'm not going to pretend like that hasn't happened to me. I mean, I literally have PTSD. Um, definitely lots of horrible traumas have happened to me repeatedly to give me that. So, yeah, I do have my issues. But after I meditate, I feel like I'm closer to my true self than I ever really am usually. So I meditate a lot now because I like who I am after I meditate. I quit smoking as well, which was huge. That's fucking huge. That was, oh, I actually did use nicotine gum. So, uh, just so that you guys know, like I've quit cold turkey in the past and it just never really stuck. I've quit cold turkey for 3 months. I don't know what it was about the nicotine gum, but also like when you're ready to quit, you're ready to quit. And I just felt like I was really fucking fed up with everything. The studies were like, the people had been dying from the illicit THC pens, right? And at that point, I had figured it was the illegal THC pens because I smoked a couple of those. And I noticed just how differently they would hit, the different potency, the different level of quality that they would have. And I knew something was wrong. So, of course, I stopped buying them. And, come to find a year later, people have been really abusing that system because, like, I saw that there was a dangerous potential in them and I stopped smoking them. So that was fine with me. But with the vaping, and now, they're talking about lung inflammation, and, this kind of inflammation is what leads to cancer. So I never, like, I never had any illusions that vaping would not cause cancer. I never had any illusions that vaping would not end up doing the same harm over time that cigarettes do. I never had any illusions about that. I did, however, start to fog. Because, like, I smoked cigarettes for 3 years, and after 3 years, it was affecting my breathing in that I would go upstairs and I'd be, like, huffing. That's a problem. Like, I was 22 at the time, and I was huffing. And, like, my gums would bleed when I'd brush my teeth. So I switched to vaping, and all those things stopped. And it was super healthy for me. It felt like I felt healthier than I'd ever felt before in my life, vaping instead of smoking cigarettes. I think after 5 years of heavily vaping, it eventually took a toll on me. And just, wheezing, I would like, right? And like that was super scary. That would make me super anxious because, again, as I said, my last semester of college, I thought I was going to die a horrible death before I would get to graduate. And so after I graduated, I fell into this pit of depression. I started really feeling my body, like the aches and the pains and the horrors that I was doing to myself. And it was a very strange period of time for me. I was also taking my therapy a lot more seriously because before, when I was in college, the therapy was a means to keep my head above water while I was going through a lot of stress at school. And so therapy was never much of a deep dive for me into my problems until I finally finished college. In these last few months, I've done so much profound work with therapy. And I see an EMDR therapist, and I swear by EMDR like all the time. I have some really fucking weird stories. I had this fear of suffocation, and this is what eventually led me to quit smoking because I would get anxious anytime I actually vaped because I thought I was going to be one of those people who ended up in the hospital not able to breathe suddenly. So that led me to quit vaping, which was good. However, it also led me to EMDR, the feeling of suffocation with my therapist. She was like, oh, let's EMDR that feeling, that helpless, painful, horrifying, terrifying feeling of suffocating. And there was a child that I grew up with who suffocated me a lot for fun, like that. Would cover my nose, would pinch my nose and cover my mouth at the same time. And I remember like the convulsively trying to breathe against this person's hand, and this little thing in the back of my throat wiggling, and like, oh my god, that was just so fucking weird that I completely blocked that out of my mind. And EMDR is not hypnosis. It's your brain will store away a memory, and sometimes it stores it into a file cabinet that has a lock on it. And you cannot access that memory. If you just think about your life in a linear way, there are a lot of memories that you miss when you think about your life in a linear way. The way that we store memories when we're being traumatized is a very different storage system than our just day-to-day lives, right? So to access that special trauma storage system, EMDR is a modality that has those elements that will help you to unlock those emotions with feeling. And it also allows you to grieve those moments. So I remembered it and I felt it for the first time in my adult life, and I grieved it. And I also had my therapist sitting there with me saying, damn, like, you didn't deserve that, you should, like you're safe. Like, that person is not a child anymore who can hurt you. This person has grown up and is actually a pretty functional adult, just like you know, and just kind of validating different things for me while I'm grieving these things, and very, very comforting, in a very comforting way. So I've done a lot of profound work with my therapy. I feel like if something were to happen and I wouldn't be able to do therapy anymore, I'd probably go through the rest of my life kind of fine. Because I already feel so fucking good already. There's no way I'm gonna stop now, because I feel like I'm finally tackling the big problems in my life. And there's a mosquito that I think I'm going to try to kill. Damn it. It's on my tarot case. Fuck. If I swat a mosquito randomly, that's because this little motherfucker's hovering around my face. Okay, so I just love the weather. I probably have like 5 mosquito bites on my body right now, just because I like to have this door open and to feel the air. And my cats love the balcony, and I love that they love the balcony. And yes, I did say cats plural. Hey, Fred, come here. Hey, Fred, come here. Yeah, Fred's a good boy. He comes when he's called. You guys have seen Brad like I think a half dozen times now, but this is Fred. He's younger and smaller and much more of a pain in the ass. He gets into stuff really, really bad because he's a child, and he annoys the fuck out of me because he's a child, and he's kind of needy sometimes, but because he's a child. I adopted Brad as an adult because I knew I couldn't handle it. A kitten, and I got the kitten for Brad, and the kitten totally did his job. Like, I haven't had to give Brad Xanax for thunderstorms because Brad gets so terrified of thunderstorms that he needed Xanax. He was hurting himself. He actually dehydrated himself, and I took him to the vet, and we figured out that was why. So yeah, I have not had to give Brad Xanax. He has not freaked out to that level since Fred has been here. Fred is his thunder buddy. Fred keeps him company while I'm gone at work, because Brad really didn't like the transition of me not being home half the night. Of course, now they're all used to it, but I did it for, like, I was working in the bars for like 2.5 months, and Brad still wasn't used to me being gone like that in the evenings and late into the night. So I get the kitten, and within a couple of weeks he's totally fine back down. Brad is my anxious baby. Fred pretty much rolls with the punches. So yeah, Brad definitely needed a companion for sure. So I'm glad that I was able to do that for my precious little baby. So yeah, life has been it's been progressing, right? It's not moving particularly fast. It's not moving too slow. Things are just kind of falling into place. Now, yes, I'm working at a bar. I don't have a job with my degree plan, and that's totally fine with me because I'm actually making more at this bar in less hours than I would at a full-time position, or any of the full-time entry-level positions that are wanting to hire me. So I'm just like, I'll work at a bar for 2 or 3 nights instead of working for you 40 hours a fucking week until you get your shit together and want to pay me what I'm really worth. You know, it's like, yeah, it's not above me to pour drinks and serve people instead of typing on a computer. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is at the end of the day, I'm making enough money to do the things that I want to do and having enough time to pursue the things I want to pursue. And really, like, after I graduated, that was one of my big questions. Because, I mean, like, everyone else I knew was like, oh, I'm moving to such and such city for this great job with such and such company, right? And, like, all that stuff was like, it was really starting to affect me and make me feel like, wow, like, no company has hired me yet. Is there something wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. I'm working at this bar. And then I was like, wait, but what do you actually want? What do you actually want? Like, money and time is what I want. My job gives me money and time. Like, so, um, yeah, I think it's really important to notice. Like, sometimes you think you're not where you should be, and then you really meditate on it. You really calm yourself down and look at things objectively, and you realize that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And that's how I feel my life is right now. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Something really fun that I'm doing with my spirituality is I'm actually getting witchy with it. Like I have finally, like I've been wanting to do, I can finally do it. I have the funds because, you know, I mean, I like books, I like to read books, and I'm not about to just start throwing shit into a cauldron and lighting it on fire, right? Um, So yeah, for me, exploring my witchy side has been mainly buying books. I've done a couple of affirmation type of spells. Um, I'm actually going to do my first manifestation spell soon. It'll be a honey jar spell. So I'm going to be doing that soon. And it's pretty exciting. I feel like my energy has been really like helping me. There's been a lot of closet witchcraft in my family. My mom taught us from an early age to manifest things, to want it so bad that you can feel it happening, that you can feel like you've already achieved it, right? So I remember her telling us about that. And, you know, of course, that's the law of attraction, as most, you know, secular people call it the law of attraction. So spiritually, that's manifestation magic, right? It's just whatever terminology works for you, works for you. If it works, it works. That's what I tell people all the time in my practice because I've actually started to do tarot readings for money. I'm a hotline tarot reader. Um, so that's been fucking amazing. Very empowering, very, I feel like I'm helping people that never would have come across, like, that never would have crossed my path, I should say. I'm helping these people that never would have crossed my path otherwise, right? And I really feel like whenever someone leaves a call with me, they feel better about whatever situation they're in, you know? I actually I had one of my early querents ask me a love question about this person, and I got all the bad cards, guys, like quote unquote bad cards. I got all of the challenging cards, and I like was just like, oh my god, they didn't have a whole lot of money. They actually ran out of time before I could completely tell them all of the cards. I started with the least bad card first. And as I'm telling her this card, it clicks off. And so I just sent her a quick message. He's not good enough for you. That's not exactly what the cards told me. The cards told me that he was going to cause her a lot of grief and pain, that this relationship was grief and pain. And so I sent her, he is not worthy of you, like at all. You deserve so much better than him. And it was strange because she messaged me back and was like, oh my gosh, like I think I really needed to hear that. I was getting a little weird and obsessive. And this was a couple days later. She messaged me back. She was like, yeah, I was getting a little bit obsessive and I think this is exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you. And I was like, yes, thank you. Because I didn't want to break her heart, you know. Um, at the end of the day, I think everyone is capable of making mistakes. So sometimes I still worry about making a mistake during a reading. Um, and possibly like if someone, and of course, tarot, there's a fine line between taking tarot as gospel and realizing that tarot, this is just my philosophy, that any kind of divination tool, any kind of psychic thing is going to show you the most probable outcome. If the psychic is good at what they do, it will show you the most probable outcome. I believe that even psychics who are bad, they're really just showing you the least probable outcome, right? But they're showing you a probable outcome. Like, I think the better you are, the more likely that your outcome is the most probable outcome. And I tell people all the time, like, especially if it's a bad reading, like, the path that you're on right now, you're not going to pass that test. I can see you're not studying enough. And they're like, because they wanted me to validate that they would pass, so that they wouldn't have to study as much. And then I was like, you're not studying as much. I can see that you're not going to study as much as you should leading up to this test, right? So I'm just like, according to what you're doing now, you're not going to pass. And they're like, what should I do? And I'm like, that's a good question. Pull more cards. This is the advice that the cards give you. But of course, you know yourself better than I do. You really need to kick yourself in the ass and study more. And they're just like, thank you. So a lot of it is like common sense coaching. Not that I'm like a life coach. I mean, I have PTSD. Sometimes I feel like because of my PTSD, I can't really tell other people how to live their lives, right? I mean, obviously my life has gone horribly wrong in the past. But I also think that I've had to pick myself up out of so many dark pits of depression. I've had to bring myself back down from, horrible anxiety, thinking I'm going to die as I'm trying to fall asleep at night, so I can't sleep, and I stumble into class, just none of my shit together, and I still manage to pass because when I really need to, I really can kick myself in the ass enough to get shit done, despite the fact that I have PTSD. So I feel like I have a lot of good advice for people coming from that perspective. So, yeah, it's extremely rewarding and just wonderful. And I did free readings at a friend's Halloween party. That's where I went out of town. I went out of town to Dallas. And I actually met this really cool ass fucking person, but and that's starting to fall into place, just in my relationship sector, my romantic relationship sector. My cat brought a twig in from the porch, and is delightfully chewing on this twig. They are very happy to have this twig. My cats are so silly. So, yeah. Anyway. Life has been like that, basically. The Halloween party. Doing free readings was extremely rewarding at this Halloween party. However, it took someone who was super, super, super into tarot doing a lot of readings with me and other people seeing my methodology on it for the other people at the party to be like, maybe there's something to this and I'm willing to give it a shot. Whereas before, half the party, I just kind of sat there chilling with everyone and no one wanted tarot readings, so I just relaxed until finally this person built up their nerve and was like, readings, please? Yeah, like I said, it was extremely rewarding, and yeah, everything's starting to fall into place now. Yeah, I'm working to get on other sites because right now I'm on a specific kind of site, and I'm about to. I feel it happening. I got a message today. They didn't reject my submission. They just wanted me to tweak certain things, and I really feel like before the week is out, I'm going to be on that site as well. So, and I'm still trying to get on an actual phone hotline. Because the sites I'm on are much more millennial-based sites. So, one is a camera site. It's like a cam site, but for psychics. So, and then the other one, this one that I'm about to start on, is an app, right? I'm still trying to get on with a phone company. I really want to work for Keen, but they're not taking applications. So that's a shame. That's a crying shame. It's a crying shame. But yeah, life is moving pretty well. pretty well. And I'm really hoping that, I'll start working on my book again. It's been really intimidating trying to work on a novel. And maybe I'll talk about that next week because I don't want to do super, super long podcasts every week. 30 minutes is enough. And right now I'm at 30 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. If I said anything that struck a nerve or piqued your interest or anything, do let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, as always, hit like and subscribe. And until next time, happy dabbling. Bye-bye.